Mama? Did we film that?
Yes.
Marvellous! Welcome back to Andertons TV. Rabea is making us all wish we'd practiced more when we were younger today. But welcome back to Andertons.
Hi.
We live in a binary world, right? Where you're either red or you're blue or
You're a 1 or you're a 0.
Exactly, all that kind of stuff. You're digital or you're amps. You don't have to be, right? And the world's a better place if you're a little bit more open-minded, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So, obviously we're talking about guitar effects.
We're all about inclusivity in 2026.
I'm slightly prodding the bear here because if you go onto the internet, it's packed full of comments about, you should use everything is digital now and that's the way to go, or no, everything is amps and that's the way to go, or pedals, whatever. And I think one of the reasons I enjoy listening to the music that you make, B, and I enjoy the videos you do, is you've really embraced it all in a way that I think brings the best out of everything.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I would like to appoint you as advisor to the world to solve all the crises.
Just embrace everything, man.
Yeah, we've asked Rabea to just, pick some gear from our studio, quad cortex, some pedals from the back of the wall, couple of amplifiers, whatever, and just piece together like what he thinks is like the best of everything. So
how do I go about it?
What have you done? Like what, and how easy does it all? Is it terribly complicated? I mean, what's the deal?
This is quite a straightforward setup in terms of the world of like hybrid rigs, which is what I'm doing these days. Obviously, I use QC. It's great, and I still want to use my amps and my analog pedals and have that spontaneity of mixing and matching pedals and creating these sounds that for the band and for the songwriting, it's mainly for songwriting creativity. It's like having a blank canvas with a palette of colours. That's my analog pedals, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to incorporate everything so that you can have that accidental blend of two pedals you would never put together. Because I use the gig rig switcher, right?
Right.
So I can switch in and out all sorts of stuff. But the thing is that we're touring and live and different venues and different PA systems and all that kind of stuff and whatever else. There's a certain amount of consistency when you're not at like a high level touring band where every single venue is an incredible PA system and a great room and treated. And also like convenience and portability, right? So that's why I started using QC, because it's small, it does everything in one box, but now I'm kind of delving into more of using a bit of analog pedals again with amplifiers, QC. So that was my introduction. Very quickly, what the rig is I'm running through a bunch of analog pedals. Cali 76 Stacked Edition, my favourite compressor. This is Pete's because it's got a purple knob. Revival Drive Compact, probably my favourite overdrive pedal. Origin make killer stuff. And then this absolute beast, what's it called?
I'm flying the flag for Norway here. This is a Fjord Fuzz Odin, and it's the sort of the last couple of iterations of this. So version 3 and 4 have had separate level controls for the fuzz side and the octave side.
I love this, and I may need to invest. Then Tube Screamer, because we all need a good Tube Screamer in front of an amplifier. And then this is my amp, right? In terms of tonal purposes, I'm running into QC and I'm hitting 2 amplifiers, and I'm actually running the Kraken models. So I've got 2 of them, and then we go out of those into some delay and reverb, because I've run out of space on the board, otherwise I would have them on there and use this effects loop block as the amp effects loop. And then I'm splitting it off, and this is the cool thing about how I use it live. Front of house gets this IR block. So it's a 57 on a V30 and a Royer on a V30. That goes to front of house. So it's the same every night. So you'll hear both the mics on the cabs and the IRs separate. I'm sure that you'll see on screen what you're hearing. But before the IR block, I'm splitting it off to come out of 2 other outputs. So not the XLRs, these 2. And they run to the effects loop returns of the amp. Well, actually running Power Valve 200 and the MKX effects loop so that I can power cabinets and have the amp in the room thing.
I think there are 2 sides to the conversation, not 2 sides, 2 elements to your decision-making process here. The one of just achieving ultimate tonal glory. I think everyone can kind of buy into. You know, you're getting the best bits from this, the best bits from here, the best bits from here. And I suppose everybody would aspire to doing that, and probably the only downside to it is just cost and more gear, right? The interesting bit that I thought, and maybe we'll dive into this a bit more, was the spontaneity of, and I suppose that's the issue. When you have like, I don't know how many different things are in a quad cortex, let's say 300 or 400 different things that are in here. Going from like this one to this one to this one to just see how they sound, or stacking this one and this one, it's inevitably not as spontaneous,
because it's menu diving,
as if you're just literally going, oh, well, what if I turn that and that on? It doesn't get any more spontaneous than that. And I thought that was a really, because I don't think many guitar players, perhaps not everyone's on the same place in their journey as you are, but I don't even think people are even thinking about that.
Well, every guitar player has a bunch of pedals from over the years, you know, like we all have pedals in our, if we've been playing guitar a long time and we've tried different rigs, there's pedals lying around, all sorts of stuff. And that's kind of where it came from, is like, well, all these pedals, let's put them all together and use them in conjunction with this, because I can, on top of that, I can add stuff in there. So because this is all pre-amp, right? It's all in front of the amp. So I could add modulation, flanger, phaser, whatever else. Or if I've got more board space, more power supply space, I can add it with individual boxes like I do.
Give us a couple of examples of combinations or sounds that you've kind of stumbled across that you wouldn't have necessarily found had it not been for like just going, well, what if I press that and that and that sort of type thing. I'm thinking more in some of your uses of like fuzz and octave and that more sort of synthy sort of sounding stuff.
In this instance, at the start of the video, you heard what I ran, the fuzz, I ran the octave inside QC. And then, for example, I don't know, let's see what happens if I... I might want to add this to tighten it up, so... Notice how the Tube Screamer almost had that cocktoir effect.
Honestly, I know you can't technologically do this, but that sound, I just imagined that you'd gone into a cathedral with the world's biggest pipe organ and somehow plugged your guitar into it and play, and like that. It's just huge. I think that's where real cabs for me still.
And we're running 2 amps in stereo.
It's just like, it just is inspirationally massive sounding, isn't it? But
and the other thing that's worth saying that you can't do in the real world, and one thing I've just realised is that they needed to be panned like that.
Ooh, so we're now going, we do want proper stereo.
It may have lost a bit of volume there.
We can turn it up a bit.
Do a bit. Something that we can do here that we can't necessarily do in the real world is I can gain stage the amplifiers in the sense that I'm running it in scenes. I always run my QC in scenes, and I've seen assign the gain control. So I run the bottom 4 because it's easier for my foot to get to live, but I start with a lower gain and then I start to...
Oh, wow. So you literally...
Yeah, you can't do that in the real world, because otherwise you're running over to the amp and going between songs or between sections, whereas I like the sound of the gain on the Kraken, right? So I can go ahead and...
I can't see what's happening between E and F.
I've copied the same,
right?
So like that.
Right.
See what I mean? So now I like the way the gain sounds from the amp. I might not want to necessarily use pedals for my gain, but I might want to use the Tube Screamer. I can go. God. I'm running a lot of delay and reverb because you know I like it. But for example, I also like stacking pedals together to get my gain. So I might do Revival Drive and Tube Screamer because I've recently found I really enjoy the way that sounds. So
I can see from the smile on your face. This is what playing guitar's all about, man. And this is what writing songs should all be about. It should be about coming up with sounds and licks and things that put a smile on your face and going, right, I'm going to work on this. There's a song or something or a solo in here or something.
I mean, it's also probably this. How much is this?
Loads.
Yeah. It's also probably the guitar feels really nice. It's got a great sound to it. But yeah, like I would never have thought that if I blend this with this into that I would enjoy the way that sounded. Didn't really consider that before rigging it up this way. Yeah. You know, at the same time, I can do the ambient clean thing because I've got a compressor in front. I love the way that sounds.
I know we sort of briefly whizzed through this at the beginning, but I think for anybody going, oh God, this looks terribly complicated, let's just break this down, right?
It's not that complicated.
The guitar is plugged into this pedal over here, and then these subsequent pedals are just daisy chained up. Just easy peasy. And you might, I'm guessing if you're writing at home and you're not too worried about, you know, floor noise and all that kind of stuff, you might have 20 pedals like that just to sort of see what happens as you turn them all on and off. Out of the final pedal comes into the input of the quad cortex. At that point, we've gone unbelievably simple. We're just using the signal chain on the quad cortex here and just coming out left and right into the power amp returns.
And the beauty is that it could be any amp with an effects loop. It doesn't have to be an expensive tube amp.
Or in the instance of the one on my that side, that's just a dedicated little power amp, isn't it? It's not even a guitar amplifier.
That's the beauty of this way, is that any amp with an effects loop, you can do it this way. So it could be like a Katana with an effects loop. Or it could be anything you have that has an effects loop. This will work. We're getting all the amp tone from QC and all the pedalboard tones. Could be whatever you want.
There is another more sophisticated way of wiring this up that some of you might be thinking, oh, that's the one that I've heard of and I don't really understand it.
The preamp swapping.
Yeah, so that's where essentially by using the effects loop of the quad cortex, you can begin to decide you might want some of these pedals positioned in different places within the signal chain, which you can do. You might want the preamp of the guitar amplifier set as one of the preamp blocks on here, which you absolutely can do. That's the more traditional kind of 4-cable method way of working. But this is just super simple. Imagine these are your pedal, imagine that's your amp, imagine those are your speakers. Boom.
I could turn it to a venue, we might be traveling light, and I might find ahead of the venue or the festival, can I just have 2 amps with an effects loop and cabs? Or whatever. I can just turn it with that. Front of house gets the XLRs, same every night, and then I just... It's really for stage volume and for this experience.
How much of you... I can't remember who I was talking to the other day, another professional guitar player, who was saying that other than in the very, very biggest venues where audiences truly are just hearing front of house, most... even up to, 3,000-4,000 cap venues, that like in the olden days, audiences would hear amps on stage plus front of house. That would be the sound they got.
Yeah.
And he was saying that actually, he doesn't actually enjoy watching, hearing guitar sounds anymore where the amps have been removed from stage and it's all front of house. He kind of misses that fuller, fat guitar. This is as an audience member, not even as the player. I
wholeheartedly agree. Like, my best example was obviously one of my favourite bands is Carnival, and I remember seeing them and they were being supported by Tesseract, who were also a great band, but they were modelers front of house. So they played their set and it sounded all right. It sounded pretty good. And then Carnival came on and they have, Marshall 5150s, 4x12s, and they started playing and it was like, whoa. Because you had that extra layer of sound from the cabs on stage because those amps were cranked. And PA.
I don't know if you saw this on Insta Noodles the other day. Somebody showed a picture of a Guns N' Roses. I think it was a Guns N' Roses gig. It was definitely Slash playing, and the back line was projected onto us. It was like he'd managed to get an angle to go that what we're all looking at thinking is amps was a projection of amps. So you see the band and they've got 8 4x12s and all that kind of stuff.
But they didn't. No.
But it wasn't. They weren't even dummy cabs. It was a projection onto a screen, and I was sort of thinking, "Wow, kill me now." It's like, I guess, what's the point? I mean, maybe there was a real amp off stage. Maybe it's all QC. I don't know. Maybe nobody cares. Maybe it's just nerds like me that see this. And
for me, it's about the experience and what sounds fun for me to play, and the user experience and how it feels, right? And I'm always going to explore new ways of doing it. But since kind of coming across this way of doing it, and the preamp swapping one, which I use a lot, it's just so much fun because it's expandable, right? And it's consistent with the whole front of house thing.
Well, now we've seen, or we've talked about how simple it is to put together. Let's just, I don't know, let's explore. Like, what would happen if you just went, you know what, I'm going to try something. I'm going to dial up one of the weird synth blocks here, but I want to try it with the octave effect that's on the fuzz pedal. Just something you've never, it might sound awful, it might sound uber cool, and
we can do
inspire
that.
you.
Check this out. I'll do something pretty funny here. Bear with me 1 minute. So that's cool.
Double six, so glitchy.
But then let's look at dialers in, choose a modulation, and we can mess around inside there. It's so silly.
Oh, God!
You get my idea though. Like, you're just mixing stuff.
Yeah.
And
all this is doing is also reinforcing. I've got this obviously hypothetical opinion that if Tony Iommi had just had a pair of studio monitors and a device to make distorted guitar sounds, none of the old Black Sabbath licks and songs would have been written, because if you take away the volume and the experience of what that did, it's like a...
You can't replace it. Eggs you on. Like, it makes you want to
That's
explore.
the word. It does. It just... I don't know what it is. It's. I know big cabs and loud noises are inconvenient in today's modern sterile world, but it's like... it's just... It's inspirational, man. But another thing I saw the other day, which was, and I wonder if it's guitar players that are playing quietly all the time and almost getting to the point where they're just practicing with no guitar amp at all now to just get like super fast. It's like, it's changing the landscape of how those players are kind of choosing sounds and making sounds. And again, I mean, I know it's subjective and everything, but I feel like we're just missing that. Here's just a really loud sound.
What's that phrase people use nowadays? Aura. It has aura.
And that's not an anti-digital thing at all.
No.
Digital, that is just purely and simply this world of convenience and quietness that we seem to, like, can you just turn it down, please? It's like, it's killing the vibe.
But that's the cool thing as well. Like, if you want to turn it down, you got to master volume over everything.
True. That's it. Maybe, okay, get that fat, big sound and we'll turn it right down and I'll see if I get as excited or you get as excited.
Okay, let me just tune up first. So
I mean, maybe you will and everything I've just said is rubbish.
What was the sound that you had? You had
I just turned everything on. I had the octave and that and that. It's not as good. That's better.
That wasn't even as loud as it was when we were playing though, but
it's better. I reckon there's a world in which I could get some massive sponsorship from a hearing aid company to really drive the message home that we should all play loud guitar when we're young and get hearing aids when we're old. It's probably not the best advice ever, is it?
But if you've got a modeler and you've got old pedals lying around, try it out because even if you dial all your presets in with a modeler, set it up so you can run it to an effects loop return without an IR on and see that experience, how that is. We've already spent all your time dialing in your presets, but you want to feel it out of 4x12s. I recommend at least trying because you saw everyone's reaction. It's so much fun.
So good. It's so good. Well, there you are, ladies and gents. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I've certainly enjoyed it. Thanks for taking the Castadosa Mariana out for a spin in that glorious purple sparkle.
It's a lovely guitar, actually.
He does make some beautiful guitars, and come and try those in Andertons as well if you want. All right. I think it's lunchtime. We'll see you in the next video. Au revoir.